David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Over the years, Benu has done a good job of coming out with new and interesting pens which fit in well with their design aesthetic. Today, I have for you a brand new pen from them, which is their first foray into the world of small pocket pens, and it is called the Pixie. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this diminutive offering, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample with a couple of different pens. Thanks go out to the good folks at Benu for providing the pens you will see today for review. There are 11 different variations of this pen. I'm not going to go through a long list of all of them, but some are more solid in color, and the majority have more of that flair that Benu is known for. And like I said, I have two here to share with you today. One of the more solid colors, and one with that, what I would describe as distinguished flair. To get a closer look at both of these pocket pens, please join me over here at camera 2. The pen arrives in this box. You could see here that it is a bit on the smaller side. This is a brand new box for Benu, and you can see here around the corner it says Pixie. A small box for a small pen. Inside, we have a couple of things. There is a use and care guide and the warranty information, and then here is the pen. This is the Benu Pixie, and this particular model is called the Aurora Gold. And then I also have this one here, which is the Royal Blue. Let's turn those around so that the Benu is facing the right way. But as you can see, these are pretty small pocket pens. And as I mentioned before, there are some which are more solid, like this blue here, and then other ones have a bit more flair. And then even the solid color does have a bit of variation to it. So it's not a pure solid color. So as you can see, there is a bit of personality in there. But let's go ahead and take a look at this Aurora Gold. First of all, I just like the material on this. I just like this turquoise, and that you can see here that there is a flat portion here on the cap. I will say that doesn't necessarily serve as a roll stop, that it still can kind of roll around. Maybe it would have been nice if we could have incorporated that into something that's kind of useful as a roll stop, but it doesn't necessarily prevent it from rolling around. And then with this particular resin, we have the gold leaf here. I don't know if it's actually gold leaf, more like confetti. That's what I'll call it. I mean, gold leaf-like. And then it turns into this copper. And I just really like this copper color. It has a bit of pearlescence to it, and I like the personality, and I kind of like the combination of that turquoise and copper. It kind of reminds me of my very first Figboot on Pens pen that we made with Jonathan Brooks, and some of that copper mixed in with the turquoise. And that you can see here in regard to some of the parts and features, it has a bit of a bevel here on the end, and the top is flat. Actually, it's just very slightly indented. You could feel it indented just slightly. And the cap angles up, and the widest part is right around this portion, and then it angles down. And I'd say there's a medium-sized step down from the cap to the barrel. And then the barrel does taper down slightly, not a ton. And then at the end, you can see here, it's beveled, and it's just slightly indented on the end. Now, the cap twists off. That's 1, 2, with maybe 2.5 rotations. And underneath, we have this diminutive number 4 nib. And let me go ahead and show that we have a Schmidt nib. And that some of the pens have gold colored nibs and other ones have the silver colored. So you can see the difference between those two. And I think for these particular models, I think that the gold looks better with that copper, and I do think that silver looks better with the blue. So you can see that in my hand, this is a very small pen. In regard to the section, I'd say the section is a decent length. It starts off with a slight flare. And even though this is a small pen, I wouldn't categorize this as an overly thin section. It's on the thinner side, but still usable for me. And it angles up, and then you have the cap threads and a small step up to the remainder of the barrel. Now, when you use this pen, I would say that if you were just writing a quick note, then you could use this pen unposted. It's a little too long to just kind of fit in the crux of my hand, and a little too short to be overly comfortable without capping it. So unless it's just something really quick, then you're going to want to, I'm sorry, posting, not capping. You're going to want to post this pen. And when you post it, it does post. It doesn't necessarily post super deep on here, maybe until about this point where it caps or where it posts. And I will say it's not on here super secure. I mean, if you get it on there, it's not coming off, but it doesn't take much to dislodge it. So maybe I would have liked to seen this slightly more secure, especially since you're going to be using it posted the vast majority of the time. But once you do post it, then it's plenty long enough. And I do think that this makes it, especially with the cap being a little bit larger, it kind of makes it feel like a larger pen in your hand, as opposed to something small and skinny. This is a cartridge converter pen. It does arrive with a cartridge, but in this particular model here, I've gone ahead and fitted it with the new Kaweco converters, the new Kaweco small converters, where this part here expands, and then you can use this just like a normal converter, and then it folds down and it fits nicely in here. That's not this does not come with this pen. I just had some extra ones of those, and I wanted to make sure that they work. But it does come with a cartridge, and a standard international cartridge fits in here just fine. And with this solid construction, if you use the appropriate silicone grease, you could eyedropper this pen as well. Now, some of these models are in the $50 range, which is like the solid colors are in the $50 range. And then the other models are in the $72 range. And that they're available from a number of different retailers as well as the Benu site. Now, I'm trying out something new here on the channel for various reasons. I've historically shied away from affiliate programs, but I thought I'd get one a try. So if you're interested in this pen, please use the link below to check it out on the Benu website. If you should happen to make a purchase, a small portion of that sale would go towards supporting this channel, and I greatly appreciate that support. And if you have a favorite retailer you would prefer to purchase from, these pens are widely available at most retailers, or virtually all retailers that carry the Benu brand. But I'll show some size comparisons here in a little bit, but I think that this is an interesting offering. I like that it's a completely different design from what Benu has done in the past, but yet with a lot of the resins that they have still incorporated a lot of their signature flair. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some size comparisons and then a writing sample. But first, let's take a look at some measurements. Here we go with some measurements for the Benu Pixie. In regard to a couple of other smaller pens, of course I had to show it with the Kaweco Sport because it has that a little bit of the general same design. Here it is with a Kaweco Lilliput. And then here it is with a Schoen Design Pocket 6. It's very similar in size to the Pocket 6 as far as the length goes. In regard to some other pens, here it is with a Shiyubi North Pocket Fox. And then in regard to a couple of other pens from Benu, here we have one, the most recent one that I reviewed, and this is the Daily Mate. And then Benu has done a lot of hand-painted models as well in their Euphoria model, and this one here was the Little Prince. And I just kind of like that it has a little bit of the artwork reminiscent from the book and looking up at the starry sky. And so I thought this one did a good job of incorporating some of that flair into a theme that made it make sense. And then he's kind of looking up at the night sky. And I thought that and he's there with his dog as well, or his fox, excuse me. It wasn't a dog, it was a fox. There we go. Get that into focus. And that's what it looks like in comparison. Let's take a look at it posted, since that's where you're going to be using this the majority of the time. This is what it looks like compared to the Kaweco Sport. And then here it is with the Shown Design Pocket 6. And here it is with the Lilliput. So it's fairly similar in size to the Lilliput when it is posted, but it's a little bit shorter than the other two. Okay, here we go with the writing sample for the Benu, and this is the Pixie. This right here is a medium stainless steel nib, and the ink that I'm using here is from Color Traveler. And it's called the Situchi. You know what? I don't even know how to pronounce that. Shimanami. Here, we'll Shimanami. Shimanami. Oh boy, my mouth really doesn't like that. This is what the ink looks like. It's a nice, kind of a bronzish, bluish green. And this is what it looks like with Leonardo Smeraldo. And here it is with the Stilo and Stile's Roman bronze oxidation. I'm really a fan of this kind of shade of that bronze oxidation, and I thought it matched the end of this pen well. And here's what the bottles look like. I've enjoyed these Color Traveler inks, and they come in some really interesting packaging. I like this bottle as far as the design of it, and it's something well worth checking out. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I would say that this medium nib performs, we'll call it, in a standard medium nib fashion. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of this steel nib. And I'd say that the ink flow is on the medium side. In regard to reverse writing, not necessarily a highlight of this particular nib. And in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up well. Just as a comparison, the nib on this blue one is a broad, so I thought you'd want to see what the broad nib looks like. And I just have this loaded with the ink that came with the cartridge that came with the pen that looks like it is a very dark blue. So there you have the Benu Pixie. I think this is a neat new offering from Benu. It's something a bit different, and it's interesting to see them venture out into the world of pocket pens. And like I mentioned, if it's something that you are interested in, then please use the link below to go directly to Benu's website, and it helps support this channel. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.